Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. This is the Extraordinary Podcast, and my guest today is Fitz Koehler.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm so happy to be here talking to you. What a delight.
We're somewhat close. We're both in the state of Florida. You're coming to us from what, Gainesville, right?
Absolutely. 2 hours north of you. And right now, I think Florida is the freest state in the nation. So it's nice to have that luxury, huh?
Well, I don't know. I come from Georgia in Atlanta, and our governor, bless his heart, has been on the forefront of keeping things open and rocking and rolling. So
That's awesome.
I'm so grateful. He got my vote for next year for the reelection for sure.
Well, I'll come and vote for him too. I love my guy, Ron DeSantis. High five. But I'll
Yeah, I'm
come
glad to
vote
see
for
both
Governor
our
Kemp.
governors doing the right thing, man.
That's
Keeping
right.
things up and open and as much as possible and being responsible and doing the right
Yeah,
thing.
we
So.
are the land of the free. This is what I've been told, right?
I hope so. I
Rumor.
hope it stays that way. These days, we are starting to wonder, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're of the same mind. Right out of the gate. Uh-oh.
I had just lost you, but now I have you back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That was weird. Okay, so anyway, so I have to tell you that it's good that we start off on that note, because we could have started off on a negative note, because you being a Florida Gator and me being a
Yes.
Georgia Bulldog, we're
Oh my God.
already and after what, 2 weeks ago,
Oi.
you're lucky we're even talking at this point.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah,
That
you know
was-
what? When I was actually in college, it was very heated. You know, it just felt so
Yeah.
important, and the rivalry was so strong. But now, as a taxpayer, I just really appreciate schools that help people get jobs, and then they
In-state
can
tuition,
support
right?
themselves. So yeah, I can say go Dogs, go Vols, go Knowles. I can do it all now. I support every school that helps people become gainfully employed.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in the Spurrier era, so I have a special kind of level of dislike for the Gators,
Disdain.
because that was the time when it was really not a good time to be a Georgia Bulldog for sure.
And I was actually a Gator back then, and I'm actually friends with Coach Spurrier and his wife Sherry, and I used to date his son Steve Jr.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Oh, this interview is going downhill quick. Oh no, we're in trouble. All right, so we'll have to do a little course. No, they are. I mean, and for what it's worth, I mean, he is an amazing coach, and it was very delightful for me, because I'm also a Clemson Tiger, and so when he went on to South Carolina, things kind of evened out there in the win-loss column. So it all kind of came full circle. But I digress. The college football, I could go on for that for a while, but that's not the purpose for your visit with us today. You've got a book out right now. Let's kick it off right out of the gate talking about that.
Yeah. So my book right now, it's My Noisy Cancer Comeback. And the comeback is because I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, and I went through about 15 months of chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries. It was absolutely brutal and interesting. And because of my career, it was also very exciting and full of adventure and drama. So I'm a fitness expert. I have a master's in exercise sports sciences. I've been teaching around the globe for decades, and all of my efforts within fitness are focused on mass media. So TV, radio, books, magazine. When I teach fitness, when I speak, it's on a microphone, and it's usually to a ginormous audience. Quite often it's for corporations. So I've worked as spokesperson or speaker for companies like Disney, Oakley, Tropicana, Office Depot, and so on and so on. So I'm highly effective. As far as fitness goes, I've never sold out. I don't, in fact, I am a miserable opponent of diets, pills, powders, supplements, shakes, wraps, any sort of snake oil. God help you if you come at me with any of that stuff or try and promote it to good people around me, because there's always a little bit of vicious attack in there, because I resent anyone trying to take advantage of a decent person just trying to get a little healthier, feel a little better in their body with, and those people selling lies. make me cranky. So that's one thing I do. And I normally actually make fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. So I bring the simplicity of this science to light and help people accomplish their goals without going broke in the process. And then I'm a professional race announcer. So some people think vroom vroom, that's vehicles. And I would love to say,
not the people that listen to this podcast. We know.
Yeah, it's
you
running
got the
races.
Boston Marathon crowd listening to this podcast.
Okay, so those are my people.
Yeah.
So I host the start and finish lines of some of the most prestigious and largest running events in the nation. Los Angeles Marathon, Big Sur Marathon, Buffalo, Philadelphia Marathon. I announced the DC Wonder Woman and Batman run series, and so on and so on. So
the female Tim Bomba, right?
Oh, Tim's a nice guy. Yeah. I've not heard that. Yes. So Tim and I do similar things. I don't think he does it full time, but I hear very nice things about Tim.
Well, he does a great job at it for sure.
Does he? Okay,
yeah,
that's great.
Sure.
Yeah, he seems like
and he brings
nice
that. What I like about him and you, like y'all bring that energy. You know, like in Ironman, it's a big thing. You know, that finish line. You know, it's a big grind, and you know that energy at the finish, and you know, really recognizing people. It's
yeah,
really cool.
It matters. It matters.
Yeah,
you know
matters
what?
A lot.
It's interesting how many massive events kick off with a sputter. You know, they do a countdown, which a countdown to me is like a death rattle for a race. When 10, 9, it's
especially when you're freaking out, like your first race, that kind of thing.
It's
right?
just unfun too.
Right.
You know what else is unfun is an air horn. Air horn is the least delightful, most annoying sound on the planet. Why in God's earth they decide to, you know, send off some sort of exciting, wonderful event with an air horn. You know, it just, I really like big energy and big engagement. I think if you can engage with your audience. So it's a strict policy of mine never to talk at people. I talk to them. So when I got on the microphone, I feel even if I have 25,000 people in the midst, I feel like we're sitting around the kitchen table having a conversation, and I'm very unscripted. I'll get a few bullet points about our sponsors or our timeline, but other than that, it's just chit-chatting and having fun. And hopefully if someone showed up alone, they instantly feel like they're part of a team or family. If somebody's nervous, hopefully I find that that hot button to be able to calm them down. And if somebody's excited to either win the race or just beat their old time, you know, hopefully I've gotten them ramped up and excited. And, you know, that's my goal, is to whip the audience into a frenzy. And by the time I yell go, I want them jumping up and down. And many of my start lines look like mosh pits. And then most importantly is once those wonderful people come through the finish line, whether they're number one or dead last, I want them all to feel like they won the race. And we were excited to have them there, and we're very proud of them. So it's a wonderful privilege, my work.
Well, we have an amazing race director for Dirty Spokes here locally, a guy named Tim Schroyer. And he also does the bullhorn and is out there talking to everybody and kind of acting as that announcer as well. Because, you know, these are smaller. We don't, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's such a cool job to have. So I'm really curious, like, how did you get that first opportunity, or how did that first start for you?
Yeah, so I've been speaking for decades, and I'm also a sport performance expert, and I've been training athletes of all sorts. In fact, I can go back to the Gators, but back when the UF soccer and tennis team won the national championships, I was getting dirty with them and training them actually to kickbox. I used to be a competitive kickboxer, so we brought some of that training into their sports for cross training. But so as a sports performance expert, I was teaching clinics for Run Disney, and they had 4 events a year in Walt Disney World, Florida. And so I would come in and
we know the Goofy. We know all about
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
my parents got about 10 pounds of hardware in the hallway over there from that
Lord.
thing.
That's a very interesting
it is.
challenge. I've not done it, mind you. I can tell you. I love Goofy. I've not done it. But yeah, so I was teaching strength training for runner clinics, weight management for runners, pain prevention and management for runners, you know, all of those things. And so their race announcer, their golden voice is Rudy Novotny. And Rudy's, to me, he's got the biggest energy, the biggest voice on the planet. And I love being an athlete in his corral. But Rudy and I hit it off. We met, I guess, because I was working there as well. And he's also very charismatic and sarcastic. And so he was at the expo introducing the speaker. So, you know, it might have been Jeff Galloway and then so-and-so and me. And he always was so complimentary of my presentations. And then at some point he kept saying, you know, we have a lot of people who come in and talk throughout the day. We don't have a professional speaker. You're our only professional speaker. He kept going on, you hit it out of the park, blah, blah, blah. And it was very nice. And then finally I said, thank you so much, but I don't know what to do with this information. You keep pouring on the respect, and it was very kind. And he goes, you know what we should do with it? He said, I need a co-announcer for the Orange County Marathon, OC Marathon in California this May. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I mean, I've never done it before, but I'd love to give it a go. And so he connected me with the race director, Gary Kutcher, and Gary looked at my resume and could tell that, you know, getting mass amounts of people informed and entertained was not a new thing for me. So we chatted and he said, yeah, I'd love to have you come announce with Rudy. And Rudy definitely showed me the ropes, taught me the nuances of race announcing versus the other things I had done. And man, we had a great time. And within, I don't know, an hour of the first time I yelled go, Gary came over and said, hey, can you come back and announce next year too? So I was hired on the spot, which felt really great. And then within a few months, I had booked a few other events, and it's just steamrolled since then. And boy, do I love doing it. You know, with fitness, I do a lot of arm twisting. I'm always trying to convince someone that eating wisely is a good idea, exercising is a good idea. But on race day, you know, there's some race organization says, hey, Fitz, here's 20,000 people who already thought exercise was a good idea. Can you manage them, make sure they have a good time? And the answer to that is hell yes, I can do that. And I really want to do that. Yeah. So,
talk about filling the bucket, man.
Yeah, it makes me so happy. And, you know, I learned long ago that I should always associate up, which for me, that means always surround myself with people I deem better than myself. And on race day, I get to do that. They're people that are concerned about their own health, great causes, their communities, and they're pluggers. They're gritty. They're willing to try hard and step out of their own box and comfort zone. So, you know, when I step on a stage, I truly have deep respect and admiration for every single person at my start line. So it's a privilege, and I work hard to make sure everybody has a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it's nothing like getting them through that. And would you be willing to share one of your most memorable experiences as a race director, or a time or an individual that you saw out there that made an impact on you, maybe, or something?
Oh, well, I'm a race announcer, not a director.
Sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Race announcer. I misspoke.
That's okay. Hey, that we know the race directors are doing the really hard work.
They're the ones that's behind the scenes, folks. Whew, that's a tough job. And thankless a lot of times too, because they're not out there in the spotlight. They don't get the accolades they deserve.
Yeah, and people tend to yell at race directors a lot. They tend, anytime they don't get their way, they go straight for the jugular with the race director, not really understanding that race director was just a runner, someone who loved the sport and thought, wow, maybe I can put on a race in my community. And yeah, so be nice to your race directors. That's for starters.
Yeah. It'd be great for them these days, because they're getting to be few and far between with this nightmare we're living in.
Yeah, they especially need extra love now. I mean, golly, what kind of story do you want to hear?
Oh, just anything that I just was wondering if there's one that kind of stuck out in your mind as a memorable experience for you personally, like one that maybe inspired you. Was there a runner out there that maybe left an impact on you as a race announcer out there watching? And
you know what?
I know it's different I think of a race announcer in the context of triathlon, where it's all about the finish, where in marathon, the race announcing is much more about, like, you know, getting the waves through the entry and, you know, getting everybody out there to get started kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, gosh, I mean, I am so blessed that every race for me, it's a million hugs. You know, my great formula, I can tell you, is that little tidbit at the start line. you know, the faster the people are, usually the less rowdy, the less fun they are. So, you know,
it's
the
all
party.
serious. It's all business.
Oh,
I got to
that's
get my
right.
watch timed up.
That's right. No matter how fun I am, you know, you can normally get a
PRs.
little bit of smiling out of the speedsters or the elites, but I love the back of the pack. And, you know, you take a race like Philadelphia Marathon or the OC Marathon, where the people up front, they're willing to have some sort of fun, but every corral I send off, every time I yell go, I know that corral F is going to be far more fun than corral E. And by the time I get to corral J, those people are freaking dancing in the streets and, you know, practically throwing their bras at me. So I love the back of the pack wholeheartedly. You know, when I get to the finish line, and I don't know if I don't know if this qualifies as your stories, but, you know, when people are coming in really fast, you know, it's important that you give the winners their due. You know, they get the really big, you know, and the champion of so-and-so is this person. And so you want to give them a roaring, respectful champion's welcome. However, you know, as soon as this very serious speedsters get through, that's when the real fun begins, because then I can get out on the course and those people want to stop and they want to hug me and they want to stop for a selfie. And, you know, when I see close friends, and mind you, close friends is a very loose term for me with the running community, because if I know you, if I've had a conversation, instantly we're close friends. If you came to my clinic the day before and we shook hands, we're close friends. If I know your name and recognize your face, we are quote unquote close friends. So I will go down and, you know, I'll spend hours just greeting people and running through the finish line with them hand in hand. And, you know, the further we go to the back, I'm getting people that are maybe 300-400 pounds, you know, people that are 90 years old. I have a guy, Rich Williams. We've declared him my boyfriend. I met him. He won second place, I believe, at the Monterey Half Marathon about 5 years ago. Oh, no, 3 years ago. And he was turning 82 that day. So I was manning the awards ceremony, and I guess Rudy was announcing the females and I was announcing the men. So we got to the 80 and over age group. And so Rich was I think our silver medalist, but I looked and it was his birthday that day. And so as he took the podium, I just started singing, which is a horrible experience for anybody who's had to hear me sing, but I just started singing and everybody joined in. And Rich is strapping. I mean, he's just the most gorgeous 82-year-old man on the planet. So I instantly declared him my boyfriend and I swooned. And thankfully, his wife doesn't mind at all. She's about 75 and she's also a tremendous athlete. So yeah, I mean, it's all just you know, little stories of love. Now, when it comes to my cancer experience, there are definitive stories of chaos that ensued out on race day or race weekend because of the collision between cancer care and race announcing. But overall, it's just good stuff. The goodness never ends.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, one of the appeals to me about Ironman and the longer distance triathlon is because, you know, those early finishers you talk about, like the placers, those top, that 5, 10, whatever, the real athletes, they're coming through and you know, the finish line is pretty much empty. And actually, I kind of feel a little bit bad for them because, like you said, they've really worked really hard and they don't get a lot of accolades there at the finish. But then, like, as it gets closer and closer to midnight, as those later and later folks are coming in, you see the crowd start to build around the finish and more people start showing up and it starts to turn into this party, and like the glow sticks come out, you know, and all the everything starts. Next thing you know, it's like they're rocking and rolling. You can hear it from blocks and blocks away. And as one of those late finishers that's struggling to get there, it's like you can hear it off in the distance. Like it's the party that you're trying to get to that's way out there. You think it's impossible, and then you get in there and they raise your spirits up, and it's that whole mushy experience. And next thing you know, you're crying or passing out or falling over or something. But
yeah, you know, I think the further back we go, sometimes the more life-changing that finish line becomes, right? So there's the speedster, which even though they hustled really hard to win that day, it probably, even if you're like in Los Angeles, we get the Kenyans come out and they crushed the marathon in 2 hours, 10 minutes, something ridiculous like that. And they worked hard, but I don't know if they worked harder than the people that are taking 9 hours to do the race, and then you get people that look like me. Now I'm a solid middle of the packer. I look a lot faster than I am, but because I'm lean and I kind of have the runner body, people don't care to see me come through the finish line. They're like, who cares?
It's another pretty face kind of thing.
Here she goes. Yeah, runner girl, big deal. And again, I'm going at a very mediocre pace. But then we get some people that are obviously, you look at them and you think,
it was hard for them.
What brought them out here? I got to know their story. And that's where the inspiration comes. That's where, the tears roll. I had this guy, oh my gosh, I believe he had cerebral palsy. I could be wrong, but, and I'm often wrong because, I gobble it all up, but he had these walking braces and this man was bent over in half every step he took towards that finish line. Oh, just looked like it hurt so bad, but man, he was so gritty and
it probably did hurt. He probably was more,
Oh, and he showed up in pain. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He showed up to the start line in horrific pain, but what a trooper, what a disciplined hero of a man. Now, hero, we use that term loosely sometimes. Was he out there saving people in Afghanistan or in a uniform in a police department? No, but his
inspiration.
His effort really showed other people at the finish line who had never done something like a race. Maybe he gave those people the encouragement they needed to maybe give a 5K a try. So, just how lucky am I?
Those are the ones that inspire me as a person who feels like they're pretty physically fit. Like that guy is the one who drives me to.
Yeah. No excuses. No excuses. If they can do it.
And be grateful, man. Whew, be grateful. For sure. That's awesome. So you kind of dove into we mentioned the book, but we didn't really get to spend much time, but we kind of jumped right into the racetrack thing. So let's kind of circle back and talk about some of your experiences going through some of this cancer.
Yeah. So the brief story is December of 2018, I had a clean mammogram. And as a fitness expert, it's my platform. Get your annual exams.
Yeah.
And so December 2018, clean mammogram. Less than 7 weeks later, I was at a hotel bathroom in Disney World for the Princess Half Marathon weekend. And I just scratched my underboob and there it was. I found the bean. It felt like a bean. And I just thought, oh crap. And so pivotal, very important moment for me there is I did not ignore it. I did not call my mom and say, gee whiz, what should I do? I didn't Google it. I picked up the goddamn phone and I called. I said, hey, I found a lump. I need to come in. And so Monday I went in. Thursday I had a mammogram ultrasound. And not only could they see this scary tumor in my breast, but I had 3 hard swollen lymph nodes. And I was able to compartmentalize the lump that I found. I figured, I have a strict policy. I do not cry over milk that hasn't spilt. I think worry is a complete waste of time. So I just put it in my back pocket and ignored it until I had, more information. I didn't even tell anybody what was going on. So I'm sitting there on the table and the radiologist, she goes, yeah, this tumor, this lump looks suspicious. She said, but it's really the 3 hard swollen lymph nodes that have me concerned. And then I lost it. I lost it on the table and I thought for certain I'm definitely dying. And for no other reason than I'm the girl who does almost everything right. I'm exhibit A of healthy living, perfect career, perfect family. I just thought my early death would be the perfect tragic tale. And that's exactly where this thing was going. So I was sick to my stomach. It was terrifying. And within a handful of, the next day I had a punch biopsy. A few days later, I had the diagnosis confirmed that you do have breast cancer. And I think a week and a half later, I started chemo. And, it's almost like being hit by a bus and having all your bones broken because you're instantly thrown into a cycle of constant medical appointments. It was scans and blood work and my port surgery, the little device they put in your chest to infuse chemo. And then all of a sudden you start chemo. And then I was, it's funny. I'm very private about my private life. So if I wasn't going to go bald, I would have told nobody that I had breast cancer. And so I'm sure you see it as much as I do. People get on social media and they take a picture of their swollen ankle and say, oh, I sprained my ankle, pray for me. And I always think, for real? You're eating up the prayers for your sprained ankle? Get a grip. And why are you putting that out there, projecting your weakness and what in the world? Everybody has to, I fell down, look at my knee. And I think, no, I want you to see me stand up. I fall down a lot. I never, ever put it out there. Not that I need to project perfection, but strength is the thing that matters to me. And so I would never be like, oh, woe is me, I broke my finger, everybody. So
well, I love that, eating up your prayers on a broken ankle.
Come on, right? So
spot on.
So there I am with cancer. And I think, shit, excuse me, am I allowed to say that on your podcast?
You can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Okay. So now I'm going to be bald. And I figure if I'm going to show up on stage as bald, people are going to start asking questions because I used to have 2 feet of hair. So anyways, I decided. Oh,
I could just, the bald look for you, gorgeous, by the way. I mean, some people can pull that off and some people can't, but like I'm almost suggest keeping it for what
it's that's worth. Nice. I mean, it was unusual, but I appreciate
you wore that amazingly well.
Yeah, you know what? I never hid the bald head. I never wore a wig. I just decided that I was going to be me and that was going to be good enough. So I made this little video and said, here's the news that I don't want to share, but I have breast cancer. You saw it. So when I look back and think how cute, I was so naive because there I was saying, I'm going to be fine. Don't pity me. I will expect no pity. You can root for me. You can send me well wishes, but do not send pity. And I will show up at all of my races and I will perform as expected. And I'm not going to miss time with my kids. And, I just made this bold declaration where things could have gone very sideways. And in fact, they did go sideways. Yet, because I had committed in advance to not missing those races, and I didn't make the commitment for other people. It wasn't altruistic. In my mind, I would have been devastated if anything took away those events that I love so desperately and those people. If I would have had to stay home while Big Sur Marathon was taking place, I would have sobbed all day, every day. It just wouldn't have been good for me. So I made the declaration and so then I go and get my chemo, which wasn't a good time. Apparently what they gave me was considered the most toxic combination of drugs they give. They didn't tell me this at the time. They just said, you're going to be fine. They were positive. And I appreciated that. And in hindsight,
because you're putting that out there a little bit,
Right. I'm going to be fine. And so got chemo on Monday and felt a little tired and mousy on Tuesday, Wednesday. Thought, okay, I can handle this. And then on Thursday, my stomach exploded. And then I became chemo sick. And I was so sick. And even though my oncologist had provided me with his email address and his personal cell phone number and said, call if you need anything, I was just too stupid to use those resources because I thought, well, I'm getting chemo. I'm supposed to be sick. Why would I call to tell him that I'm sick? And instead of getting better, I just kept getting worse and I almost fell. And it was just it was a mess. And so I tapped out on the Monday morning and I said, hey, listen, I need help. And I've been sick all week. He said, come in right in the morning. And I did. And I go, listen, I have to get on a plane Friday. He goes, okay, where are you going? I said, I'm going to announce the Los Angeles Marathon. I've got about 35,000 athletes waiting for me. He goes, he didn't say stay home. He didn't at all. He said, well, we need to get you on your feet. And that was the best. That's how I already knew he was the right doctor for me, but that was it. Where so many other doctors would be like, you sprained your ankle, stay home. My doctor was badass. He was like, you got a job to do. You have some living to do while you're fighting for your life. You need to keep living. And if this is important to you, this is important to me. So the things that went on to keep me going and announcing races throughout the whole year and a half was insane. So I started IV fluids immediately that day. And basically I got them every weekday, no matter what, some weekends. And when I flew out of town, I would go from the airport. I'd arrive in California, get off my plane, go straight to IV fluids. My race directors were reaching out to medical people and hospitals and so forth saying, I have a race announcer with cancer. Can you get her some IV fluids when she's here? And they did. And you know, these poor race directors, they've got so much stuff to do for race weekend. And then
but you know what? They got to have the IVs there on staff, on standby anyway for the racers. So they're kind of already prepping for you anyway, right?
Well, yeah, in very many cases. And, you know, it's funny. My mom used to say, what happens if you get sick? What happens if that? And I would say, well, listen, I'm leaving my house sick. Yeah, we know I'm already sick when I go there. So it's not going to be a surprise. But what other profession has a medical tent right next to them at all times? There's always paramedics and doctors and so forth. So, you know, if I go downhill, there will be someone there. Now in Denver at the DC Wonder Woman Run series, and I can say that even though I was imagine the tequila hangover. That's what it was like every single minute of every day for 5 months at least. And so that's where I was functioning. I was.
That's so probably sick. Being kind. I would imagine it's probably even a little bit worse than that.
It was awful, and it was cumulative. But I would sleep on the hotel bathroom floor because I was sick, and you know, in a weird way, the hotel bathroom floor is the comfy spot. So I would do that, and then I would get up and I would put on my running shoes and my tights, and I'd go get on my stage. And this is the beauty of the running community. It's the second I would get on those stage, it was though someone had flipped my on switch, and zoom, I got to be full force Fitz Koehler again. And I was running on runner fueled go-go juice. They provided the perfect amount of adrenaline for me, distraction for me, and I never missed a beat when I was announcing. So first weekend, that first LA marathon, I detail it in the book, but I lost most of my hair on that stage. And so that was pretty devastating and stressful. And, you know, seeing the black stage covered with all this long blonde hair was a nightmare. However, how fortunate for me that I had the distraction of 25,000 incredible athletes to turn my attention on. So I kept my glasses on because I was crying a lot, but I didn't want anyone to see. So I would just smile on the microphone, and I was genuine about it. But that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. When I flew home, I immediately, literally half an hour after walking through my door, we shaved my head. And then that was March. And then a handful of months later, after my 6th and final round of the really mean chemo, I had to announce the DC Wonder Woman Run series in Denver. So I'm a Floridian who operates best at sea level, going to the Mile High City, which is, no matter what, that's not a good match for me. But it was 100 degrees that weekend. And so on Saturday, I hosted the expo out in the heat. It was really unbearable. And I struggled in many ways that day. And, you know, I actually left the expo a little earlier. My race director said, go now because we need you tomorrow. And you're not looking so good. Yeah. So I went back, and then in the morning, I was on my stage. And the combination of the heat and the elevation, and I had to kind of hustle over to the start line stage from this big main stage where we were having the Wonder Woman costume contest. You know, the morning was already good, but I got up there and I was standing next to Wonder Woman. So Warner Brothers sends out their official Wonder Woman, and she's a blast. We love her. But there's me and there's Wonder Woman, and I'm out in my bald glory up on the stage, and then the world starts spinning. It turns yellow. And the crowd, it looked like that blurry special effect they use in the movies. And I just thought, oh God, here it comes. Don't pass out, don't pass out, don't pass out. And I did a lot of self-talk through cancer, but this is what I'm saying to myself. And then I look down, and sometimes my stages have a little railing, like a handle, just on grass, we were on concrete. And so then instead of don't pass out, it went to, oh God, don't break bones, don't break bones. And we had at least 10,000 people out there. It was very stressful at the moment. And so magically appeared our video and sound director, Kent Kolstad of Livewire in Fargo. I owe this guy everything because he's not in charge of me in any regard. But what did he do? He randomly showed up at my start line table with a drink and snack for me. He just randomly was like, Fitz, I got this for you. And I was in bad shape. So I put the microphone down. I decided the event would be fine without my voice for a few minutes. And I had the drink and I had the snack, and I was able to rebound and recover and do my job. I was able to not hit the ground and roll off the stage, because how pathetic would that have been to be the bald announcer in the tutu rolling and the whole thing would have been a mess. So it was a very interesting year. I mean, the stories I tell in the book, they're just relentless. And that's when everyone says, they go, I did some crying, but then I did so much laughing, and I had to keep turning the pages because there was always something happening next. It was just it was a very weird experience. And in my case, I can also say it was very wonderful, because I was offered so much support and love from the running community, and things would have been way worse without you all.
Writing a book is tough. I'm going through a similar process. What was the toughest aspect of it for you personally?
The waiting
or was
game.
it may have been easy for you. I don't know. I may be even putting words into your mouth. I don't mean to suggest it.
No. I'm a writer, so and I can't say it was an easy process, but I didn't have a hard time with the writing process. I thought editing was a pain in the can. It was 100,000 word book, and we chopped out 10,000 words. So, when 10? You're editor, 10,000, yeah, but that's a lot of words.
You have a very kind editor. Well, you're a professional writer already, so I need to keep
very imperfect. No. And as she hit it with the red pen, it's hard not to get your feelings hurt. The beginning of the book I wrote while I was still sick, so I had to go back and re-edit a lot of that because I was clearly loopy at the time and it needed a little extra work. But yeah, I'm very proud
but when
of the
they're ripping out your content, it's just like they're ripping out part of your heart kind of thing. It's like, no, it needs to be there. No.
Well, it's funny. I had a bunch of beta readers, and some of them were my interns, and then some of them were in the running community, race directors, so forth. And then some of them were people who had no idea what the running community was about. And, it was interesting. My interns would say, LOL, this part is really funny. And then one of them would say, oh, that's stupid. Nobody cares. Okay. And I thought, okay, good feedback. So
hey, you're getting the feedback. I'll take it,
Okay. I will remove that. Nobody cares. So, yeah, I think the book is way better because of the contributions, or the input, I should say, from those beta readers.
Now, that's brilliant. I've got some beta testers for my 8 Keys to Great program that are going through that right now, but I never thought of having beta readers for because the book is essentially the program, but with all the backstories and all the little tidbits and the fun stuff and the anecdotes and whatnot. So that's a really good idea. Have them beta read as well.
You wouldn't bake a cake and then sell it without having a few people take a bite first. So to me, that's where it was. I was like, what do you think? I don't want to release something that people will hate. And they didn't hate it, but they certainly made some good quality suggestions that allowed me to improve the book.
I was gonna say, they just give you a better final product at the end of the day. Yeah. If you can take because I'm always looking for that kind of feedback, and sometimes it's hard to get. For sure.
Yeah, and also know that you are the CEO of your book. You make the final decision. So if you disagree with the suggestion, you don't have to take the suggestion. There are 0 components of my business that I am not fully in charge of, and I'm willing to take risks. So make those decisions and stick with them.
Absolutely, yeah. And I always kind of tend to say, trust your gut. Take all the advice. Take good, bad. Otherwise, take it all in. but then ultimately trust your gut. And
Absolutely.
I think if you do that, then you'll ultimately 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up going the right way. Well, I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about that. You've got, we've already blown through almost an hour. We've barely even scratched the surface, but
make it a two-parter.
Oh, without a doubt, I can already tell you that this is going to have to be. But talking about some of the fitness stuff, one of the things that fitness is your niche, but then you've taken that niche and then applied it to a lot of different categories. You've got the corporate side, which I really want to talk about that from a personal selfish standpoint, because I'm really fascinated by how you get some of those programs into some of those opportunities, or how you create some of those opportunities rather. But then you've got the personal, the individualized stuff that you're doing. But I also want to talk about, you do stuff with kids as well, and inspiring the little ones. And as a dad of 5 and a bunch of little ones running around, that was really, and I try to indoctrinate my kids into running very early on, selfishly. But talk about that kids program and what you're doing with the school systems.
Yeah, so I just celebrated 10 years of my program called the Morning Mile. And the Morning Mile is a before school walking running program that invites every child to participate every single day of the school year. It's not about a mile. In fact, it's not about any particular distance at all. But what we do is we provide, each school provides 30 minutes every single morning and invites every student, their families, and the faculty to participate. So it really is a y'all come. We play music. The kids get to go at their own pace. They track their own laps independently. And then we have a very simple yet highly effective reward system, which keeps the kids excited, coming back, and very proud of their accomplishments. And I'm in 400 schools around the globe. I have most states, not all states, 4 countries. And gosh, my Morning Milers have completed millions of miles. And I'm very proud of it. It's interesting. People say, oh, there's a program my kid does at school and someone's done 100 miles. And that's great. That truly is great. But Morning Milers often do 600-700 miles in a school year. And there's no coaching, no choreography, no instruction whatsoever. We just make it incredibly welcoming, incredibly fun, and incredibly rewarding. And then we unleash them. And Morning Milers just, they find it within themselves to constantly do more and more and more. And so we have a lot of very athletic kids that didn't start off as athletes become athletic. And then we have tons of kids with special needs, and kids with walkers and in wheelchair, and kids with Downs and blind kids. And they can participate too, because there is no pressure to perform. It really is just come on out and take part, do what you can, do what you want. We will celebrate you. And
it's just a group run at the end of the day. Just like what we do as adults. Yeah, a group run walk kind of thing. It's just a group get together kind of deal.
Get together to get active. And the thing I love most about the walking running thing is it requires little skill and very little equipment. Music obviously makes things more fun. It's not essential. Great running shoes are, certainly helpful, but they're not essential. There's a lot of people around the world running barefoot. Not that I endorse that, but it's just a simple, stupid activity that you can do when you're 5, when you're 50, or when you're 95. And whether you go out and do 1 lap or you do 1,000 laps, it all counts and makes you better for it. So I'm very proud of the Morning Mile. We have changed. I say we, it's my company, it's my program, but I guess I try to disperse the credit, but I'm very proud of my Morning Milers. I believe that very soon we will start seeing Olympians credit their discipline to this Morning Mile program they did when they were in elementary school. Many CEOs will credit their Morning Mile program for their success. And it's funded by corporations. So where schools don't often want to invest money in health and fitness or have the resources to do so, I allow corporate America to step up and voluntarily sponsor programs. So they foot the bills, the schools get it for free, the students participate for free, and we create a win-win scenario like that. So anyone who wants to get more kids moving in the mornings, if you visit morningmile.com, I will happily help you out.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to pick your brain a little bit because as a parent and need a little parenting hack here,
Yes.
without divulging too much information, what is that reward system hack that you're doing to get these kids to show up every morning? Because that's no easy task, right? Like, so
it's
how do
not
you
a
pull that
secret.
off?
It's not a secret. It's a little, once a student completes 5 miles, they get a beaded chain necklace and a little colorful sneaker charm on it. Every time they complete another 5 miles, they get another sneaker charm. Once they complete 100 miles, they get a number 100 charm. And the beauty of these reward necklaces is not only are they fun to receive, but these students can wear it around their neck at school all day, and they're constantly being recognized and congratulated for their accomplishments. The kids are constantly looking at each other's necklaces, oohing and awing over the colors. And, you know, it's magical for the younger kids. But even the high schoolers, we provide them in school colors. And so they strap them on their backpack and they're very proud of their accomplishments. Some of them are, you know, at that age, they're concerned about weight, right? Maybe they don't.
Yeah, it's all about appearance and body shape.
Yeah, they don't have a car, they can't afford a gym, and they're afraid of sports or they can't make a team, but they're welcome at the morning mile to just, you know, you think about, especially girls, we like to walk and talk. And so you see a lot of teenage girls walking and talking, and then you see a lot of high school coaches telling their athletes, you know, I can't train you extra today, but I want y'all to wake up and go do the morning mile. You know, that's going to be part of your athletic training. So it's a win-win for everybody.
That's amazing. I love that. So cool. All right. Well, so you talked about they get the corporate sponsors and you do a lot of work with the corporations. So I'd love to know about how you go about implementing a fitness plan or a program or doing some of this within that corporate environment. Cause I see the other side of it from the business development side, and those opportunities seem much more readily available because there's an immediate return for the company or for the business. There's a financial, in theory, financial return. With some of this stuff, there's not necessarily that immediate intrinsic financial reward. So how do you go about that process?
Well, I actually don't implement programs in corporations.
Oh, okay.
What they literally hire me because they know I'm a great speaker and I can
mostly for those speaking engagements.
Yeah, it's speaking engagements. And then sometimes it's paid spokesperson work. So I'm the face of their brand and they know, you know, as we talked about to begin with, I've never sold out. So people trust me. They know I'm never going to lie to them. And if I tell them I'm working with a product that is beneficial to your health, they believe me and they buy the product or they invest in that type of experience. So, yeah.
So yours is more about product endorsement kind of thing.
Sometimes. And then sometimes like Disney brings me in and they want me to convince their employees that getting fit, eating healthy is a really good idea. And then quite often I mix that up with some exercise. I don't usually teach exercise when I do these corporate events. Normally it's me in a fancy outfit or a dress and heels and I'm on a stage.
Much more corporate environment. Right.
Yeah. It's, you know, teaching, talking, compelling, poking people in the chest with my words. And
so when you're in those corporate in that corporate setting when you're giving those speeches, what is the main message that you're trying to convey? What's the main points that you try to drive home to those?
Well, there's a few. So one of my presentations is called Fixing Your Life with Fitness. Care of your health, golly, everything gets better. Your work performance improves, your relationships improve because you're not such a grouch because you don't have back pain or stress. You know, everything in your world starts looking a little rosier once you start pursuing health and fitness and sleeping well, which is part of the deal. And then my other presentations are steered towards operating at peak performance. You know, if you want to climb the corporate ladder, if you want to be a more respected professional, someone who is promoted, someone who accomplishes more, especially if you're in a sales position where your first impression means a lot. You know, do you show up and people think, oh, that guy's kind of dumpy. He's not willing to put in extra time. Or do they look at you and say, wow, he or she is a go-getter and I want to be associated with that person. And so your health, your fitness, your appearance, sadly, is part of the deal. And then your energy levels. There's a big difference between people who go exercise and put in nutritious foods, and then people who don't. There's kind of a slovenly feeling around people who are unfit. And, someone might be angry about me for saying that, but I don't care. What you think about me is not my business. I'm just here to tell you
sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah, I mean, it's reality, right? However, this is the thing, is that this fitness thing I'm talking about, this golden goose that everybody wants, is completely attainable for absolutely everybody. There's not one person on planet Earth that can't be a little bit better, a little bit stronger. Can you choose healthier food today than you did yesterday? Absolutely. Can you move your body more? Yes. Does that mean you need to run a marathon tomorrow? Absolutely not. But you do whatever the next step is for you. Start moving in that direction. And I'm 45 pounds less than I was in high school. Sometimes people look at me and they go, oh, she just doesn't know. And I'm two things. I'm lean. I don't like the word skinny, but a lot of people call me that, and that's a curse word, right? Nobody can like a skinny person. And then my other cardinal sin is having blonde hair. And God forbid, and this is what I find is anybody can technically have blonde hair if they want it, but skinny and blonde makes you the devil in certain social circles. But it doesn't come easy for me. I work at being healthy. And then when I got sick and I lost weight and I was very weak and very incapacitated, I worked on becoming stronger again. So, working hard is in my nature. Striving to become better is in my nature. And if you want good things, it'll be in your nature too. You're going to figure out a way to put it in your nature. And so that is kind of what I do when I'm on a stage. I just go on and as you can tell, I'm never lacking words.
No, that's beautiful. Speaking of which, if you had a billboard for all the world to see and you couldn't put your book on it or the title of your book, what would you put on that billboard, or what would be your message to the world?
I can do hard things. You can do hard things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So now here's a twisty one for you. What's your favorite item under $100 that you could not live without, that you use on a regular everyday basis? These are the two questions I wrap with on all my interviews. It's an easy, or it's a fun one, but it's a hard one. The first one is an easy one, but it's because you already kind of know, but this one is a little tricky because
I'm an active girl, so I'm going to go with sports bra because I like to move, and I'm saying things would be a lot less fun to move without a quality sports bra.
All right. So which sports bra do you prefer? What's your go-to? Not that it matters for me, but I'm sure there's plenty of listeners out there that will want to know, because for guys, I mean, we all know about the chafing, and that's very important. And there's all those things we have to deal with and think about. So what's your go-to? Give you a chance to plug.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it because when I was introduced to the brand, I didn't like it. I thought it was smug, but I am now very convinced that Lululemon makes the best gear on the planet. So yeah.
Well, they're very expensive, yes, but there is something to be said about the way that they make their products, and more particularly the fabrics and the materials that they're using. I don't own a lot of Lululemon stuff, and I'm very much anti that kind of concept. But I will say that I'm fascinated by technology and improvement in materials and products that functionally do what you want them to do. And like, for me, a guy, their pants in particular, I'm not gonna say futuristic because that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but they're doing things now that I believe a lot of other companies will eventually catch up and do the same thing.
Yeah, their functionality is really fantastic, but here's the deal. I could be I could feel beautiful and have comfortable clothes from Target or Walmart, and that's reality. But I can justify my Lululemon addiction, whatever we may call it, for two reasons. Number one, I stand on stages in exercise clothes, so I think I should have stuff that looks really, really nice. And then the other thing is my daughter is my exact size, so everything I own gets worn twice as much, and I feel like it's half price, if that makes sense.
Get an extra bang for your buck, right?
Well, right. It's half the cost.
Well, now, full disclosure, now, can you get a Lululemon bra for under $100?
Oh yes, under
Okay,
100
cool.
for sure. And I'm actually part of a instructor sweat collective thing, so I get 25% off of everything. It's still a fortune, but better's better, right?
Hey, absolutely. Every little nickel and dime helps, right? For sure. Well, we'll put a link on the show notes for both the pants for the guys and the sports bras for the girls, and we'll give Lululemon a little plug there. And we'll, Fitz, thank you so much. Like I said, we barely scratched the surface. We're definitely gonna have to follow this up with a part 2 and dive deep into some of the fitness stuff, because with me being an Ironman, you being a marathoner and all that kind of stuff, we can we'll go deep for sure. But
hey,
super
kudos
excited.
to you, Iron Man. Incredible.
Well, I mean, I just am following in the footsteps of people that are much larger footsteps than my own. So
you know what, they couldn't drag you behind them if they wanted. This was all you. Every step you took, every spin, every stroke, that was all you. So own it.
Those seeds were planted very early on, and they're just now bearing fruit. So I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, one of the two. But yeah, so seriously though, before we go, tell everybody where we can find you, tell them the best place you want them to go buy the book, and tell about how they can get their signed copy of the book as well if they want to.
That's right. So the book is available hardcover, paperback, ebook, and audiobook, all formats, and you can get them wherever you really like to buy books. However, I would love for y'all to come to Fitzness.com. That's Fitzness.com. That's my home base. And all of those books which are sold are signed. So they'll be autographed to you or whoever you tell me to sign them to. And they also come with a really fun gift with purchase, which is this big sticker that says, I can do hard things. And that became that became my mantra while I was going through cancer care. Everything was scary. Everything was hard, but I convinced myself to keep pushing forward. And thankfully I'm here today to tell the tale. So get your books at Fitzness.com, and I'll send you the sticker and I'll sign them, and I'll pack your package with a whole bunch of love as well.
Yeah, we got one coming to the Extraordinary podcast for sure. So looking forward to that. So Fitz, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for your story, and all those marathon runners out there are relying on you. So it's amazing for you to keep doing the work that you're doing. Oh yeah, you got something?
Oh, yes. I hope everyone will follow me at Fitzness on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I love making new running friends. So I'm very communicative. Follow and then reach out and say hi.
Yeah, it's some amazing social media accounts. So be sure to check her out on Instagram in particular. Definitely. Great stuff. Awesome. Fitz, thank you so much. And we'll look forward to doing part 2 real soon. Take care.